Hello, good evening. It's Wednesday and this is PM Express Corporate Wednesday. We're glad to have you here again. Tonight we're talking about starting up businesses, and it is not for nothing that my guest tonight was settled on by the Johnny Walker Walk with Giants campaign when they started the campaign in Ghana. My guest is an astute businessman, and over again, over the years, he's proved himself to be a successful one at that. Tonight, we'll tap into his knowledge to find out how, as young people or as business inclined persons starting businesses, how you can override the usual challenges that come with starting a business. My guest tonight is Prince Kofi Amoabeng, CEO of UT Holdings. Sir, it's great to have you here on PM Express Corporate Wednesday.
It's my pleasure.
How does it feel having won the best CEO in Ghana 3 times in a row?
Well, let me make a correction. It's not the best CEO, it's the most respected CEO. And it's actually a recognition by my peers that we're doing something right. As to how I feel, I think it's quite humbling because typically for this time round, I was thinking that, okay, you've won twice, certainly they're going to vote for somebody else to win, and they still give it to us. And it also makes me love my staff more, because come to think of it, it's their work that is being recognized. And then I also dedicated this one to the chairman of UT, who is my partner, and he's a silent partner. He does a lot in the background, but people don't even hear of him. So it's a teamwork together, and I just have to put my face to it as the face of the company, but a lot has gone into it. A lot of people have contributed their best, and I dedicate this award to them. And it's quite humbling to know that people will work and love you as they do.
Let me read a portion of the Johnny Walker ad which you champion. It says that in life I have learned that it is important to step forward. My business will not exist today if I had not. I had nothing but the clothes on my back and 1 pair of shoes. People said he will trip and fall, and I replied, I'd rather step forward and fail than live with the failure of standing still. In the journey of life, you will be defined by the amount of times you step forward along the way. These are very inspirational. Are they your own words or they were scripted for you?
They were scripted, but I had to agree to the content before I associate myself with it.
So principally, these are your beliefs.
They are my beliefs, and everything in it is true, even to the point of a shirt on my back and 1 shoe. I've been known to wear only 1 shoe, as at even now. So I find myself as a natural Johnny Walker, because what most people probably do not know is I've done lots and lots of businesses, and I've failed so many, many times. When I started Unique Trust, I was 45 years old, and I was broke. So it is. I think my initials should probably be PKJW. Amoabeng.
Where that will mean what?
PK as Prince Kofi Johnny Walker Amoabeng.
Okay, right. So you said something striking. You've started a lot of businesses, and a lot has failed, and yet some succeeded. Tell me, in the real world, how a person aiming to manage a successful business should start. I mean, that's the thrust of our discussion tonight, anyway.
Well, I think the best way to start is go to school and learn and acquire knowledge and build capacity. That's why I will always advocate for that. There are few people who are born with talents, but generally you need to acquire knowledge and be ready to take on opportunities when they come. I never saw myself as a business person. I was science inclined. Then by some fluke, I joined the army. I was not going to get out of the army. And again, by some happenstance, I found myself without a job and out of the army. Therefore, I ventured into business because you don't need any entry requirements to go into business. And for 15 years, I was doing all types of business. Some were successful.
Give us an idea of some of the businesses you
well,
started and the challenges you faced.
To start, or when I started, I was doing what is called general merchant. It means anything to buy and sell for a margin, you go after it. So then I was chasing commodities, we were selling calculators, office equipment. At one point we were selling matches, soap, we were selling second-hand clothing, used tires, car tires, name it. I mean,
You've
anything.
been all over the place.
Yeah, even electrodes for
welding.
For welding. And it was like, if you think there's a margin, you go after it, look for some credit, and then sell and make a profit and pay back. Then I was into sawmilling too. I had to leave at some point in time because of misunderstandings. Then I was into air conditioning, oil business, both midstream as in supply of crude and products, and also downstream as in petrol station dealer. I've done everything, and I was also teaching at the stock exchange some of the time. And for 15 years, I was failing and partially successful elsewhere. But the important thing was that I was learning.
And you kept trying.
And I kept trying, and I'll leave it and move on to something else and keep on going. That's the Johnny Walker bit. You know, you keep working.
But in the business, in a real business sense, is it not worth it or better to start with one particular focus? Let's say you decide to go into air conditioning. Is it not prudent to stick with air conditioning
Nobody starts a business.
Long as that goes?
Nobody starts a business to stop. You stop or you move on if you encounter challenges that will be difficult for you to surmount. I'm not saying as soon as you hit a challenge, you quit. But, you know, certain times, I'll give you an example. I was with a partner, and it had to go to court for the case to be settled. And I called my partner and said, I don't have time to go to court, so you can have the whole business. And I moved on. And I've done that maybe about 3-4 times, where I just say that we don't have the understanding, the starting was wrong, don't let's fight, there are too many opportunities out there, you can have it, and I move on.
So in our business climate here in Ghana, you mentioned that before entrepreneurs start, they need to go to school. Are we training enough people with the relevant skills to start businesses and succeed like you have? Well,
school is the obvious thing that, you know, it's very important that people are educated. But after school, what else? There's the need for being well-grounded and having the right values. This comes from training from the home, from responsible families who are training you for you to know the values, what is good, say Christian values, for example, because values do matter a lot. When you meet challenges in business, which you certainly meet in this part of the world, then you need to follow Christian values for you to stay astute and stay focused on the job and be able to withstand the challenges. So you need education, you need strong values, that comes from upbringing, and you need also a bit of mentoring as you go along and coaching as you go along, if you can get it. You need to also reflect constantly on whatever you do. There's a good habit every morning or every night to think about what happened that day or the day before. And look at the things that you think you did well and the things that you did wrongly, especially with the things that you did wrongly, and say, well, how should I have handled it? It's a reality check on yourself to say, where am I going? What am I taking on board? It takes a lot of things. But one thing I would stress is that you have to be very realistic. For example, you should know yourself. And what I mean by know yourself, you should know your own capabilities. For example, if you didn't go to school too much, you should know that you need to get on board people with the right or requisite knowledge. So you know yourself, you know your disadvantages, and make it up as you go along. For example, if you're a lady and you are maybe, how many, 15 stones, or you are huge, you don't pretend that you are Beyonce and start shaking yourself all over the place. You stand in the mirror, you know who you are, you know what you have. I see most people trying to do things that are beyond them because this is the way everybody is going, so I should go that way. No, you should know what you are, what are your special attributes, and try and use them to advantage.
So knowing yourself, does it mean that people don't need unique entrepreneurial skills in order to succeed in business?
I think it's a debate which will rage on. I mean, people think entrepreneurs are probably even born. I don't think so. I think...
You were not born
No,
entrepreneur.
I don't think I was
What were
born
your
entrepreneur.
early ambitions, and how did that shape you back into business?
Well, my early ambitions, I wanted to be a natural scientist because I was very good at maths when I was in secondary school. Then I wanted to be an engineer because that was the way people were going. I was good at physics and maths, but I didn't like chemistry, so I ended up doing maths, physics and economics, sixth form. So by default, I had to opt for business school instead of engineering. And I was just learning and going along with it. It wasn't like I was really fixed on anything. When I finished school and I was doing national service and life was tough and I was finding myself quite indisciplined in terms of managing my finances, it occurred to me that, hey, you can go to the army. The reason why I went to the army was because I heard that you get a free room, 3 square meals a day, and a salary. And I said, what else do I need? So then I went to the army. The other thing was, I was young at the time. I joined the army when I was 23 after university. So I said, do some 5 years, you'll still be 28, and you can come out of it and be a more disciplined person.
So you would always plan to do a few years
Yeah.
in the army. And
So you don't get fixed on one thing because then you can easily get frustrated. You have to, that's why you acquire the knowledge to be able to be flexible, and the values will also help you. So some people can really target something that they want to do and put all the energies into it, and I wish them well. But I prefer to be more, show more diversity, because it's a world that you cannot control. So as and when things change, you will have to change. If you get too fixed on one, I think it's a very risky thing to do.
how would you describe the business climate? I want to paint a broader picture of the challenges people face in starting business and then how they get on with it. How do you describe, one, the business climate, and then the environment to train and enter into that business?
You know, you acquire the skills through training. But when you start the business, it's a complete different ballgame. Why I say that is that it's extremely challenging in our part of the world to succeed. I'll repeat that. It's extremely challenging in our part of the world to succeed. And I'll just put it in two sections. First is what every country needs: the structures, infrastructure, the institutions, to be able to run a normal life or normal business. And in this part of the world, our governments have failed us in the most. We don't have even addresses, which I keep saying. So we can't even locate somebody. We don't have a police service that's well resourced and delivering the necessary security. We don't have in the courts again that's well resourced so that you get quick judgment. The public service is laid back, and the institutions have been weakened. Structures are not there. To go from Accra to Kumasi today would take you at best 5 hours, which they used to take about 2.5 hours. Ghana Airways is collapsed, railways is collapsed, the roads are not good. These are the structures and the systems that any business needs to have information and to be able to reach people and move the business around. These are not even there. So you have to be a bit innovative to find ways and means of getting around that. And it's not easy. I mean, if you have most of your clients in Kumasi now, it means you either go by air or otherwise you don't see them, or if you go by road, it has to take you 2 days. If you have a case in court, which should address your position if you should falter, it's probably not going to happen or happen in 2-3 years' time. By that time, the business opportunity is gone. That is one sector, what the government should provide. There's also the other side, which I call the pull factors. And this is the culture of us as a people. Most of our cultures do not support businesses. You know, we have a culture where we're interdependent and we have a communal system of living. And now there's a lot of impoverishment and illiteracy and other hardships in the system. So when you start a business and you start showing signs of success, you have all sort of people coming in at you to pull you away from the business. It's funny, but it starts even your mother. wants more attention, wants you to look after maybe some kids here, some nephews here, your father, your sisters, your relatives, your parliamentarians, your chiefs. They are all trying to get a bit of you. If you want to run away, so you get religious and you go to church, your pastor will get hold of you. So there's so much pressure that comes to bear because they all want to take a part of you. They don't only take your money, but they take also the time you should devote to the business. And everyone has got some vulnerability somewhere. If you're too religious, then you fall prey to some of the pastors. If you're too culturally aligned, then maybe your chiefs and your elders will get you. If you love women, then as for that one, you know the results already. So the challenges in the system are plenty. So I think your next question is probably going to do, what do you do? That's a tough one. I think you have to be realistic and say that, for example, going to a funeral for 1 week is not good for my business because the person that you love or whatever is already dead. So cut the funeral to the shortest time and get on with the job. I've seen people who started businesses, but just because they have to attend serious, so-called serious funerals, by the time they come back, competition has taken over the area or the business. And people pay attention to too many unnecessary things. But again, these are the pull factors. Now, the way to really fight it is to stay extremely humble and do just what is right. And don't be taken away by society and the environment too much. You see, the reason why I'm saying that is that if you think too highly of yourself, then you think you have to meet expectations. Therefore, you have to devote time and money for people to see that you are who you think you are. Using myself as an example, I don't really care too much about how people think about me. For UT, I think more of UT and very little of myself. And the interesting thing is a paradox. If you put the business ahead of yourself and subordinate yourself to the business an institution, and it grows and it can grow to anything, and as it grows, it pulls your name along. If you put yourself ahead of the business because you own the business, then you try to raise yourself and your ego and you kill the business. Because money that should stay in the business, you take and use it to build a house, to take a second wife, to go to funeral, and the business will suffer. But you should know that this is money for the business. You've made it with employees. Therefore, even the profit is not for you. It's for the employees who created it, and it's for the future of the business. So a lot that people have to really sit down and say, this is reality. And in Ghana, we're too full of ourselves. I see people, maybe they're going to church and they're in this huge cloth with chains and things. And I ask them, somebody is dead. Why are you trying to show off your own presence? But that is our culture. And people want to get away from the job and spend time, valuable time, in all sorts of places. I tell you, one other thing that people should realize is that if you are absent from the work, then the work will certainly suffer. And you can be absent even through ill health. So building capacity also means that take good care of your health. Go to the gym, run, do some exercises, and stay healthy. I never go on leave. I've been on leave 15 days in 15 years. And I've not fallen sick one day, not one day excuse duty for the whole 15 years. My staff go on leave. It's their entitlement, yes, but I don't see the need to go.
So what do? You're a working machine then, from the way you're saying.
I love the work, and I love what the job does for people, what it does for staff, what it does for clients, and what it does for Ghana generally. And I think we're all here in this world to impact people's lives. And therefore, if it means that you're placed in a special position to do that, devote all your energies to it and do it properly.
So this is the PK blueprint, right? This is how you advise anybody who
wants to venture
into business to go about it.
Exactly, and it's not easy. It's one thing just saying it, but it requires that you are disciplined to a fault. Be so disciplined that people will condemn you. That we're all going, why are you not going, and that's the only way. You have to be crazy. I mean, people used to describe me as a crazy person. If they take my money, I don't understand, and I use all sort of means to get the monies back. For goodness sake, people's monies, I did not spend it. I used it to try to help your situation. Now you want to spend that money for me to go and tell them that the money is no more. I can't. I have to respect them, and people have to respect themselves. So for that course of action, people call me all sort of names, but I kept on and said, I don't think you guys are right. And I kept on doing the right thing and respecting people, respecting the clients, respecting the staff, dedicating my life and everything to the company. And I think it's in the Bible too, that if you humble yourself, God raises you.
What about overcoming the challenge of sourcing startup capital in Ghana? Many people say getting money or capital to start your business is a big deal in Ghana.
It is a big deal. The point is that anything that is not tested, people don't want to know. So if you start a business, nobody has a track record of it. So you find that people will not trust you. They can't just say that, yes, it will be good. So what happens is that you must make the necessary sacrifices and give the necessary assurances. Incidentally, when people need money, they do not look at the cost of it, because when you are not tested, you must pay more, not less. So for me, it's funny when people say, I've started my business and I can't get money and the banks are charging too much interest rate. That is when you have to pay more interest rate, not when the business is settled. Because you're not tested, you're not tried, you are risky. And UT, when we started borrowing money to online, we were borrowing money at 84% a month, per annum. 84% per annum.
That's illegal.
Who says so? You
Bank
want
of Ghana
it?
regulations?
No, I borrowed the money from outside for somebody who loved me enough to lend me that money. You see that attitude, you think the world owes you cheap money. Nobody owes you cheap money. You just have to look at your figures well and make sacrifices. Stop dressing unnecessarily. Stop putting, what do you call it, expensive perfume. Stop buying clothes. Cut your own lifestyle and instead pay for high interest rates. Because eventually when the business is settled, you now can call the shots about interest rates. But we tend to say, I've started my business and nobody's helping me, interest rates are high. Who says anybody wants to risk their money with your business, new business, for low interest rates? The other side of it is that most banks will not touch you at all. So you need to go to friends, family who know you. Now, if you're a crook, certainly these guys will not give you. So it means that you need to lead an upright life from the beginning. So when you go to somewhere, it's a family member or a friend, they will listen because they know that you mean well. Now, when they decide to help you, or if you're asking for the help, make sure you discuss return on the help. For example, you want your uncle to give you a property for a facility at a bank. Talk about what you're going to pay him for using his property. If you want someone to give you money, a friend to give you money, talk about the interest, because he or she can put the money in a bank, in some place, and earn interest. Talk about the interest. Most of the time, it says, I've started a business and family people don't want to help me. No, they need to make return on the money. So address that issue. So to go back to Unique Trust when we started, I went to friends, I went to relatives and other things, and I said, I have started a business. It's doing A, B, C, D. Here are the results so far. It's looking very good. Now I need help. If you give me 5 million or more, every month I'll pay 5% on that.
Mr. Amoabeng, we'll take a quick break and we'll return to talk about how it boiled down on also back on your social life as well in order to make it that's cool. How do you manage? How do you balance cutting off time for social activities, including family, and investing that into your business?
It's funny you should ask, put it that way, but time is very finite. You decide what you want to do with your time. If you want to really grow a business, especially in growing it, you need to devote your time. See, life is about negotiating time. What I mean is, when you're a kid, you go to school because you want quality time later on. So if you don't invest time, you cannot get quality time. And it's the same thing with business. In the beginning, you need to invest quality time in the business. Maybe later on, when you're on cruise control, you can then be traveling and be enjoying the champagnes and the glory as it comes. But you need certainly to invest, if nothing at all, your time in business if you're serious about it, including night time, and cut off as much of the social life as possible. I used to play golf, and I enjoy golf. I was called Darling Boy of Golf. When I started business, I stopped playing golf for 2 years. And people thought I was mad. That I could stop playing golf was not even imaginable, but I stopped completely to concentrate on the business. There's no other way of starting and then just devoting light amount of time to business.
So where do you fit the family into the picture?
Well, I guess
of negotiating.
You see, if you have a stable family and your closely knit family, it's easy for them to understand what you're doing and to give you the necessary support. It's all a matter of communicating what it is and showing dedication to it and trust between you and the rest of the family. And your kids and your wife will stay with you, or your kids and your husband will stay with you. At times people will lie that they're going to work and they will go to other places. I mean, you're fooling your family and you're also not going to work, fooling your work. Then you'll get the necessary result and you get a distrust at home, and therefore the family bond will probably suffer a bit. It's a matter of the family respecting what you do, that you're making the sacrifices not just for yourself, but for them as well, and of course for the company that you're going to build. And you have to communicate this and bring them to the picture of what you're building. Then it will not affect family. I have one of the best families. I live with my kids. They're even grown now. They don't want to leave the house. So it depends on the individual, but definitely communicate what you're doing all the time.
So what is a typical day in the working life of Prince Kofi Amoabeng?
It's very simple, very simple. For the past 15 years, I recently moved from where I used to live. I lived there for 21 years. And
where was this?
Tesano. And it was a 3-bedroom house. But I wake up in the morning, do normal morning things. I leave the house about 8:30. And I go to work, and I leave my work at about anything from 7:30 to 9 p.m. back to the house. When I get home, I'm watching TV and trying to eat, and I go to bed, ready for the next morning. Very simple life.
Sounds simple.
Saturdays.
But in between, what makes up those the time?
Normally, I mean, I'm seeing clients, I'm listening to the stories, we're fashioning out solutions to the problems, trying to provide the funding, training of staff, having staff meetings, meeting guests, people who walk through our doors. The thing about UT is that you don't need to write an application, you don't need to even have an account with us. So once you have a business, you walk to UT Bank. Even now as a bank, you just walk in there and say you need 10,000, 2 million, whatever, and we'll sit and listen and try and fashion out a solution for you and do it in 48 hours. So you are constantly working. It's not like, say, normal bank where you meet every 2 weeks or every month as credit approval. We are every day you're approving, and it comes in real time in your tray on the software. We've designed software to do that, and therefore constantly we are approving loans. So you don't have the luxury of going off and relaxing. And I want to be there, especially when the big loans are being done. So it's all work. Now, twice in a week, I'll close a bit early and go to the gym before I go home. And then Saturday and Sunday, I forget about the work completely. And I go to my village and I play some golf.
What's your village?
Kukrantumi. I should have told you in the beginning.
Every weekend you go?
Every weekend I go to Kukrantumi. Unless there's a serious function in Accra, in which case I'll probably be here Saturday, but I'll go Sunday anyway. And play golf. Next to my village, Stafford, where is the most beautiful golf course. And I have a small villa there, and I'll go stay at home with friends, drink, swim, dance, do whatever. Pure enjoyment. And I come back Monday,
energized,
not refreshed, actually tired.
I see. So how do you balance the Monday
No, but
fatigue?
as soon as I hit the office, I forget about the tiredness.
Fatigue is gone.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy your life?
More than enjoy my life, I think I have been blessed. I think I have too many things to just reflect on, too many people to see, meet them, and realize that my life has been worthwhile.
Do you not get bored with the rigidity of sticking to routine, which is typical of soldiers, really?
No, maybe because I'm a soldier, I like routine things. I'm a very routine person. I take the same route every day, same time, and I do the same thing. I'm very, very predictable. I don't like variety.
And this is good for business?
I change when it comes to business because at UT, every client is different. So you have to open up your mind and listen to any story. I mean, you can't say that one size fits all. I mean, that is not what happens in the informal sector or funding in general. So business is different. You have to know what it takes to do a business. But when it comes to my personal life, you can predict it. My daughter always complains. She says, "You are so predictable." I said, "Well, I don't have anything to hide."
Walk us through the starting years of UT.
Those were hectic years. This is about 1997. And we started with one room and with a staff of 3 in addition to myself. And we were all around the table anyway. And we were looking for monies to on-lend, and we were not getting the monies. And we used to pay staff from my pocket some of the time, or my partner chairman's pocket. We have to pay staff. We have to pay staff. At times we have to buy paper. We can't buy the full rim. So we had the stationery lady who give us a quarter of a rim, more or less. And we were economizing on costs and trying hard to survive. One thing that we had was the loyalty of the 3 people. I mean, everything was quite transparent, so it was easy. And they all made sacrifices. Eventually, we had a few monies, which wasn't enough, but then we're still working and trying to make ends meet. At the same time, we're exploring the market. People were coming to us, so we're seeing the nature of the business. And we're quite confident. I think the breakthrough really came so the main problem at the time was funding, how to find monies to. The breakthrough was when I had gone to all sorts of people, friends, relatives, and were asking for big money to on-lend, and were unsuccessful. Then I went to this friend and he said, "Kofi, listen, 200 million, that is those days, is too much money, but I can afford to give you 10 million. As for 10 million, if you don't pay, it will not spoil the friendship." And I was mad because he had promised me big money. So I left quite furious, go home, and I said, "No, wait a minute, this is the only friend who has even offered something." So I realized that friends want to help, but not with big money, but they will help with small money. So then I wrote letters to them, and this is a story I've told almost everybody, that I've started this business, and if you can give me 5 million, I'll pay you 5% a month. So those who tried because the friendship, they wanted to help, and 5 million will not break the friendship. And I wrote a letter to about 55 or so people, friends, people that I knew, and only about 12, 13 gave me some money. But the monies that I had in total came to 255 million, which was about what I needed to break even. And then the issue is to stay focused on it. So I had a register, and I'll move my car, end of the month, interest is due, check is ready. If you are not there, your secretary will sign, and I'll bring you 2 days to the time, not exactly 1 month. And the good faith, people added more money, told others, referrals here and there. We started seeing money. And another big chunk of money we had, 100 million, was for 84% per annum. And I came to the office and I said, for this money to work, let's see if we have enough loans, easy loans to do. So the loans were ready. Then I went and signed for the 84% loan, 100 million. As soon as I got to the office, we had to disburse, because I didn't want to hold it for every 1 day. And come 6 months, I had to pay 142 million. And I went to a friend of mine, and I know he likes me very much. And I said, "Can I?"
You don't want to name him,
no.
mention his name.
I said no. I said, "Can I roll it over?" He said, no. And he told the guys that, "Listen, 142 million. The man, if he can't pay, how do we roll it?" And I brought him a check. And he said, "Go and clear it special. Let's see if the money is there." And I understand he got to the office in the evening and said, "What about Kofi Amoabeng's check?" They said he cleared. He said, "Hey, ask him to come and see me." So I went back and he said, "So the business, how is it?" I said, "It's quite good." He said, "Okay, then I can give it back to you." I said, "No, not at 84, at 60% per annum."
Now you were negotiating for a better term in order to succeed.
So then he agreed, and I used it and at lower terms. I think Then we got the banks to then come in because our first overdraft or first bank facility, which came from Barclays, which was close to us, was when they are seeing us with some huge turnovers. And they saw the turnover increasing. Monies were coming and going out. So they walked to my office and said, well, we've been checking your account and we think I want to give you a relationship manager. And I said, you give me 1 billion overdraft or walk out of my office. Because I've been there about 4 times and they drove me away. So if you don't give me 1 billion overdraft, then walk out. And I negotiated the terms and it was easy. So going back to what we're discussing, you don't start a business and you don't want to sweat. You want loans to just flow to you or money just flow to you so that you have it cozy. It doesn't happen like that.
It doesn't happen like that. Does it worry you that in Ghana today, you may have been following media reports about graduate unemployment, even to the extent that unemployed graduates have an association? Does this bother you?
Of course.
And what advice would you give to these young people to step forward?
You see, before I talk about that, I mean, we need a lot more successful entrepreneurs.
Like yourself?
Yeah, we need.
Or you don't call yourself successful entrepreneur?
Well, I think I can't run away from that if I'm the most respected CEO 3 times running. But we need a lot more. It's a critical mass that will actually deliver the whole country. You see, it's a shame that the economy is not providing jobs for these people who have been through school. And it's again getting worse because now the quality of education is even something else. And at UT we employ about 1,000 plus 200 or 300 people. And at times when they come in, the quality of education leaves a lot to be desired. But having said that, the only way I can see most people getting jobs is should come from the government's initiative. Because the government should expand the economy, the government should put the structures and the systems and institutions right, because just as water finds its own level, business will go where the structures and systems favor it.
Business will go where the structures and systems favor it. We'll take a break and we'll be right back for more. Don't go away. Welcome back. Mr. Kofi Amoabeng, you made a statement which I never forgot. You said that the world does not owe you cheap money. No one owes us cheap money. If you work on this principle, UT Bank may be very hard on its customers than if you, the CEO, have this principle in your mind. No one owes anyone cheap money.
No. The reason why I said that is that there's too much noise about interest rates are high and the banks won't lend us money. I mean, we started with no money, virtually. We had to work with high interest rates and expensive money. But as I said, you weigh your options. There are some factors that are not controllable. With a new business, you cannot get cheap money. Unless, of course, a political something, then they throw some money at you. But if you want to start genuine business that you own, then you should be ready for the hard times.
And how do you manage through this hard, expensive money?
You cut your lifestyle. You cut costs.
Cut your lifestyle.
Yeah, cut your lifestyle. Make sure your lifestyle is inexpensive and make sure your staff understand you that these are the hard times. We are making sacrifices.
What about employing cheap labor? Many
they may not deliver. Not
employers do that.
I started with what you might call cheap labor because I was a graduate qualified accountant. The other 3, my driver, 2 bookkeepers, that's it. It meant that I had to really be down there doing things myself. And I had to, I mean, like when it came to, for example, tracking investments and when they were due, we used ordinary diary, no computers. Because the diary, if somebody invests money in January and you have to pay him back in June, you enter January, received June due date, and we used to put it in red due date because you have to pay. So cut costs by all means. If you can't afford computer, don't say you want an office, air conditioning with computers and all those before you start. No. I started from Cantonment. 1 room, no air, there was an air conditioning, but most of the time we didn't have electricity to power it. We didn't have toilets. I remember those days. To go to the loo, To have a pee, I have to put a hanky on my nose, rush in there quickly and rush out. As soon as we had a bit of money, we put up a loo there, and then we moved, obviously, eventually, and we are where we are. So cut costs, change your lifestyle to suit your situation, and communicate as much as possible to your staff. But let me just say that when you have communicated, the staff help you to start making money. When the money starts coming, let them feel it, because you all made the sacrifices. That is why I'm saying that the business, the money of the company is not your money. It's money that's made for the entire staff.
So why do you think your staff love you and your fellow CEOs have consistently been voting for you to be the most respected CEO?
Well, I don't know whether my staff love me or I love them, but I think it's mutual. Well, how do I do that? I mean, I've shown them respect all the time. I've been quite transparent. I've put myself as the first staff, and I do a whole lot of things that people find funny, but I don't. I mean, like I sign in every morning when I come to work. I have my ID, just as everybody has to have their ID. If the dress code is green tie, I put my green tie like everybody else, and I set the tone. I eat with them, I laugh with them, I hug the women, I shake hands with the guys, we have fun, they are not afraid of me. I don't put myself above them, because everybody's work matters. And therefore, you have to respect the job the next person does, because it has a direct impact on you. And we have strong values. I mean, our values are known, and during our recruitment stage, orientation, we take you through the values. And the values, professionalism, integrity, stepping up to the plate. Why not? Then we have Ubuntu. It's really about family. It's a word that is from South Africa, meaning I'm who I am because of you. And this is true. And then the final one is respect. And we stress this and we let it show. We live it all the time. It's about caring for each other. It's not about I'm the boss and who are you and I have given you a job. You have not given the person a job. You have actually acquired the skills of the person. So he or she is coming as a consultant, not as a laborer. And it doesn't matter which level. If you think about it, if the cleaners decide not to come to work, we probably cannot go to work by the second day. I can go off for 1 month and people still have their jobs. So it's a matter of understanding that we are here for ourselves.
Your business doesn't manufacture anything. You're very successful service industry like many others. Now, as you succeed and as many other service industries succeed, manufacturing is collapsing. Does it worry you?
It worries me, but I think that's the path it's going to go. Apart from, see, we have to really think of what kind of manufacturing. Not the Kwame Nkrumah days when there wasn't much, therefore you're going to steel and you're going to bottling, you're going to ceramics and all those things. I think now Africa's or Ghana's advantage will be in agro-processing, because these factories are sited in the farm, because you need it fresh and you need it, it's too bulky to carry the raw material to some site. That's where we have an advantage. But then we need plantations and then to put these agro-processes in there.
How do we get that?
Well, if you create the right climate.
That's the responsibility of government.
If you create the right climate, you get the businesses to come in. Not probably even Ghanaian businesses, but at least if they are foreign businesses, they will employ Ghanaians.
So what in your idea is the right climate, really? Cutting down on taxes or what?
It's cutting down corruption. I believe if we can cut down corruption by even 30%, Ghana will get somewhere.
And how do we do that? How do we do that?
It's the government again. I mean, the government has to put structures in place. If people commit crime, they are jailed immediately or they face the consequences in quick time. Not that they go to court and the case drags on and they can bribe the police because the police are not well catered for, so they are easy to bribe, and goes to court and the case can be adjourned. The institutions are breaking down.
Talking about court, you were recently dragged to court over fraud.
Yeah.
What was it about?
Well, that's very interesting. I'm glad you asked. It's like a bad dream that is very irritating, but you never wake up. But I don't know how much I can say because, as you said, it's going to court. But it's about a lady who sold her property and took part of the money and came with a buyer and said, this guy is buying my property. I need you to pre-finance the receivables, that's the expected monies that have to come. So we took the documents, and when the guy brought the money, we released the documents to the guy. So sale was complete. And of course, we took our principal and interest that was due. Now, the lady claims that because of UT, and especially me, she lost her property. And I'm saying, did you sell the property to me? You didn't. Did you sell it to UT? No. You sold it to this person. How can you demand the property from me? You know, but you can't be at the top and expect everybody will like you. And it's very lonely at the top.
So you think this was personal?
It must be personal.
Not a business mistake?
No. I don't. If it's a business mistake, the maximum anybody can blame us for is maybe overcharging interest or whatever. And
you do? You overcharge interest?
But if we charge you interest, we put it up front. And as a matured person, you have to say you want it or you don't want it. And I've told you, expensive money hurts business, but not delivering the money at all, like some banks are doing, kills the business. You see where I'm coming from? If you have a business and you need financing, otherwise the business will die in a month. You go to a normal bank, the business will die. If you come to UT and you say we are expensive, at least it will hurt the business, but the business will not die. Which one would you like?
For your business to survive.
The thing, what we have created is probably the only bank in the whole world where you can go to and say, I need money desperately, and you don't have an account, you don't know me, and we say, sit down, we'll listen to your problem. And within 48 hours, we can solve it.
So how do you deal with the risk? I mean, somebody walks into your bank, you don't know the person that much, you are unable to even trace the person if he or she bolts away.
That's how come we succeeded. Business is about satisfying the needs of people. And we realized very early that when you talk about the informal sector, then you need to lend to them as fast as possible. Why? Because informal...
Even with all the risks?
No, hold on. The informal sector, by its nature, means they don't plan, they don't budget. So why is it that they apply for a loan and you think they are the riskier sector, therefore it takes you 3 months? What happens is that within 3 months, the business is gone, but they still take the money. So the money is actually lent to fail, unless they find a good business. Yeah. So we said the only way to lend to them successfully is to lend very responsively to meet the business. So first we identify the business. I'm talking about managing the risk now. So we know precisely, and we've seen it, and we felt the business, that this is what we're going to do. And then we lend, bear in mind the cost of the business, we do a quick evaluation to make sure that the money can actually do the business and give you a profit. And that it even gives you more profit than we get interest. It's part of the calculation that we do. And then we're quite transparent. We tell you that this is what you've told us. This is what we've seen. This is what the business is about. This is the impact of our money on it. That is, if you take into account the interest and the kind of profit you're going to make. If you want it, these are the collaterals that we want, or the guarantees that we need from you. And we are fast because we care. Because somebody comes to our office in the morning, in the afternoon we are the person's office or factory. Now, how many institutions would be that responsive? That in itself takes away the risk, because you say you are producing so much, we go there the same day and then we verify, are you producing that much? So already if you're not producing that much, then your story is going to change and then there's not enough trust. Then we also realized that we had to create institutions and processes to manage the risk. And incidentally, creating those institutions has resulted in the UT holdings. For example, we could not lend to those people who had goods at the port. Because if you give them money, the goods are at the port, and when he clears the goods, he may not come to you. So we engage a clearing agent. Then we had to have a warehouse. Then we had to get onto the market so we help them to sell so we get our money. So as we speak, I'm sure you know we have UT Logistics. And again, we have UT Properties. So the thing is, you see the risk, you have to really create institutions or processes to manage it. Because that is business. Business is all about solving challenges. And I'm glad to say that by caring for the people who came to us and caring for the staff and caring for the whole country, we have been able to create a great company called UT Holdings. And UT Holdings consists of the bank, UT Logistics, UT Properties, UT Collections, UT Life, UT Private Securities, and we're also in Nigeria and South Africa as UT Financial Services in Nigeria and South Africa.
I know it's an election year and we cannot leave without putting ourselves in the picture. A lot of political parties and their presidential candidates are making a lot of promises here and there. Are you satisfied of their commitment to growing businesses and encouraging entrepreneurship?
I'm not. That's a straightforward answer. I think to win the votes, they have to tell the people what they want to hear. And I doubt if they have a really good agenda for addressing the numerous problems that needs to be addressed for the country to really take off. I mean, since I was in school, Ghana has always been touted as a country that's about to take off.
It has never taken off.
No, because we're always on our knees and crawling backwards. You know, what I would say is a way to deliver is actually, it's not about promising what you're going to do, but tackling the issue of structures and institutions. Simple. For any institution or anything, any living thing to survive, you need to take in something, use some to maintain yourself, and reserve some for growth. Take a human being. You need to eat, use some for your own development, some goes to waste, and the rest is stored for growth. Same as a company, same as a country. Now, so for a country, you need to have the revenues coming in from all sources. So you can use some for recurrent expenditure and the rest for development. Getting the revenue has always been a problem. Why? We don't know where the revenues are coming from. We don't have addresses, we don't have street names, so people can just get lost and avoid paying taxes just like that. People take bribes and things, you can't do anything to them. And I think we have not started governance. Governance, I'm saying, is about making people responsible and accountable. So those who have to pay taxes, because you need the roots, it has to come from the people. And the right people who are earning the money must pay. And it starts with knowing them and making them responsible. In America, they say that two things you cannot avoid, death and taxes. And in these advanced countries, you go through a red light, for example, you go home and go to bed. A week later, a mail comes and says, here's your picture, you went through red light.
Yes, you're fine.
You will have to pay. Here, the policeman finds you gone through red light or something, if he can stop you. He has to jump onto your bonnet or into your car to take the keys, because when you leave him, that's the end of the story. They don't know where to find you. That is not governance. So people can get away with anything. And I don't see governments upon governments addressing the basic fundamental issues. They want to hear big things. I'll build a railway line for you. From where? And the country is permanently in debt. Therefore, the cedi will permanently depreciate against the dollar. Can you imagine an economy where the cedi used to be 2.75 pesos to $1 less than 30 years ago? Today it's 20,000 to the US dollar. And people talk about stabilizing the city. You can't. The fundamentals are wrong. So I don't see what the politicians are going to do differently. They cannot curb corruption because they are promising everyone around them, and the people around them are eager by all means to get into power so that they have their chance to rape this country. That's what it is.
Mr. Amoabeng, let's wrap up now. I want to know from you, if you are advising entrepreneurs or young business people who have started a business, what would you tell them on how to sustain that business?
I do give some lectures and I talk about just 3 points. One is stay very realistic. There's a lot of rubbish in the system, a lot of things that don't matter but may take the business away. What I mean is check the culture of this country. A lot of things, they're not necessary. Like funerals, like all sorts of things that you have to go to. Stay focused on the business, know what the business is about, and stay very real. Acquire knowledge, Because if you don't have knowledge, you won't know what is real and what is not real, and acquire a lot of it. And don't be drawn into other things like chieftaincy and whatever things. They're all distractions. The thing is, when you've made enough money, you can decide to go if you want. But even that, for me,
so the basic thrust is that minimize your
concentrate on the business. Put your time in the business so
or
much so that you don't have time for other things. The other thing, quickly, is people should learn to build capacity at all times. Building capacity also means keep learning about your business, keep investing in the business, hire the right people, put in the right structures and systems to help you as and when you get the money. But above all, you have to respect everybody. That's the last point.
Above all, respect everybody. Thank you very much, Captain Retired Prince Kofi Amoabeng, the most respected CEO of 2012. My name is Stephen Enti, and thanks for joining us on PM Express Corporate Wednesday. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting edition of PM Express. Good night.